Dramatic scenes unfolding at the famous historic Chidambaram Nataraja Temple in Tamil Nadu. A face-off over the entry curb soon escalated into a state versus temple fight. But was this required? Is there an attempt being made by the state to take over the temple rights, and are the temple authorities unable to handle their affairs? We debate that, but before that, let's tell you what transpired there. Devotees were stopped from entering the Chidambaram temple. Priests who govern the Thillai Nataraja temple had banned devotees from climbing atop the golden platform between the 24th and 27th of June. Only for this period, during the Adi Tirumanjalam, a 4-day auspicious program when special pujas are conducted, citing security concerns. The Hindu Religious and Charitable Endowments Department visited the temple, removed the board installed by the priests. Soon dikshitars staged a protest and the curb was imposed as they couldn't handle the crowd. And there were jewels and there was a security issue. The situation further escalated as the HR&CE officials and cops forced their way into the mandapam, entered there and came back. 11 priests have now been booked for allegedly obstructing government officials. All these controversies took place post the Supreme Court order in Jan 2014. But what did the Apex Court judgment say? Temple to be managed by priests, not by the TN government. Priests constitute a religious denomination and their rights are to be preserved and protected from any invasion by the state. Government can take over temple management control to remove any maladministration if proven in front of the Supreme Court. But such an arrangement cannot be for an indefinite period. Continuation thereafter would tantamount to usurpation of their proprietary rights and violation of the fundamental rights guaranteed by the Constitution in favor of the persons deprived. Power to regulate does not mean power to supersede. Now the big question is, if Chidambaram temple is not under HR&CE department, why is the state interfering? Time and again. If there's proof of financial mismanagement, why not approach the courts and prove it in the court of law? They can do it directly in the Supreme Court. By interfering with temple affairs, isn't HR&CE department violating Article 29? Deity has a living right as per the Constitution. Has that not been violated by the HR&CE department? With reports of funds management, mismanagement, should the board actually resist scrutiny? Is everything above board with the dikshitars? Question. Marred in controversies, is temple administration unable to handle the affairs? As Gurumurthy ji, editor Tughlaq is with us. Namaste and Jai Hind, sir. Thank you for your time.
Namaskar.
Namaskaram. How would you see this Chidambaram temple issue? Your point of view, sir.
I think the government is either foolish or illiterate, or it is actually autocratic. Because this is the only temple which has been kept out of the reach of the HR&CE department by the Supreme Court. Actually, it is a war against the Supreme Court. I don't know who advises the government. Obviously, the government has committed a huge, what I can say, not only fault, I think they have taken the Hindu bhaktas for granted. You see, there is nothing like the devotees demanding anything. The devotees will always like to see the Lord, but there is some discipline of the whole samskaras of the temple, that during a particular period you don't allow people to come into a podium. It's a small podium, it's not a large podium. Hundreds of people can't stand there. Only some 20-30 people can stand. And it is only those who are actually performing the rituals who can be there. And thousands and thousands of devotees come there. All of them would like to climb. Obviously, they will be told in this period you can't climb. In other period, they will be allowed in queue or something. This is a normal thing. This has been going on for generations. It is not a rule which was framed day before yesterday. But to make this as some kind of violation of the rights of the devotees, to seek to invade the temple, and HR&CE department has no locus in the temple, appointing an executive officer and giving the executive officer police powers, and in police she goes and climbs and sits there. I think it is atrocious. I mean, it is only because it is not only Hindus who are weak in Tamil Nadu. If it were any other community, they would not have attempted this. If it is any other caste also, they would not have attempted this. This is a Brahmin caste. They will not protest. They will not throw stones. In the process, you also subjected them to the cruelty of levying charge against them for for child marriage and subjecting those girls to two-finger tests,
Yes.
which was obnoxious. And that was a subject of official communication by the governor. But this is all not taken notice of. And these are all supposed to be governments which are running on some high principles of democracy, freedom, and Dravidian model. I think what is happening.
But their
in
point of
Tamil
view,
Nadu
Professor
is
Gurumurthy,
shameful.
Gurumurthy sir, their point of view, you've said that it is deliberately targeting the dikshitars because they are Brahmins and they are a small community. But their point of view is that there are complaints from the bhaktas. People have complaints, so HR&CE has come there. There has been an instance of child marriage, so they are being investigated. And time and again, HR&CE says financial mismanagement is happening.
Then let us assume there are complaints. I go with, because I am a law-abiding person. But is the police to investigate the complaints in this matter, or should they constitute an independent person to go into the complaint? Can the police enter the temple first to support an executive officer? It is not your first attempt. You have been targeting this temple from the day the Supreme Court said you can't touch the temple. So you can never do justice to this temple. And I think it is for the Supreme Court. Actually, it is an affront to the Supreme Court. It is for the Supreme Court to take care. Obviously, the Supreme Court has its own hands full and it cannot do justice within a few days. But they can do damage to the temple discipline, to the decorum of the religious ceremonies, and they can bring the whole temple into disrepute and terrorize the dikshitars who are law-abiding people.
But what is the recourse, sir?
In Tamil Nadu is obnoxious.
In 2014, the matter was fought over a period of time. Now, who will represent the dikshitars' cause? They are at a loss. Can the Supreme Court take suo motu cognizance, or will somebody have to knock the doors of the court and apprise them of what's happening?
I don't think the Supreme Court will take suo motu cognizance. Of course, the Supreme Court has done it in other cases, but I don't think in this case they will be able to do it. Obviously, someone will have to move the Supreme Court. I think the Tamil Nadu government is actually waging a war against the Supreme Court.
What is the counter to this? Are you willing to help the dikshitars? Are you willing to help them?
You see, it is nothing. It is only an ego battle. How can a temple be beyond my control? And that too, such a great temple. The Nataraja's statue is there in CERN experiment as a symbol of scientific advancement. It says that he symbolizes the movement of the waves. You know, such a great deity which is housed there and worshipped by people from all over the world, it is being brought to such a disrepute. It is unbecoming of a government of any kind. I don't expect even a Mughal government would have done what the DMK government is doing. At least they will have some shame that they are doing this to the Hindus. But these people can do anything against the Hindus because they also say they are Hindus.
Is this specifically against Hindus, or is it against the dikshitars who are Brahmins?
It is against the Hindu tradition, Hindu values, and it is administered by Brahmins. This temple is administered. They are not only Brahmins; they are a very small section of the Brahmins.
So, what is the way forward?
Part of even the larger Brahmin community.
What is the way forward? Because if there is no uproar among the Hindu community,
they have to seek recourse only under law.
But
there is no other way. Otherwise, they are not the people who will go to the streets.
But Professor Gurumurthy, temples are the only ones that come under state control as religious institutions. Hindus are majority population in this country.
No, temples do not come under the government. The temples are supposed to be managed well, and the responsibility is of the government to ensure. But they cannot control or take over the temple. They have done it repeatedly. There are temples which are for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, only under the political system. Whereas it should be only an intervention. So it has now become, they have established a government department for this. Not to supervise, but to manage, to own, to control. The entire HR&CE department is against the scheme of the Constitution.
But how do you dismantle this? Because this is not unique only to Tamil Nadu. It is a pan-India issue.
No. In all over India it is there, but there is a system. Even in a communist state like Kerala, there is a system of governance. In Andhra, there is a system of governance. There is participation of the people. Because the DMK movement, they said, Sriranganathanayum, Thillai Natarajanayum, Beerangi Vaithu Thagarthum Naal Ennalo. When will we martyr, bomb and blast these two temples had been the slogan of the Dravidian ideology. So, all other states have a certain control, regulation of the temple. But nobody said these deities should be blasted. Your intention is that.
But Professor Gurumurthy, the situation right now is that these dikshitars believe that the control is slipping. The HR&CE department tomorrow can take control. Unless there is urgent representation or intervention by the top court.
Actually, whatever you may say, the government has the police power. The government can do anything. But whether the government is doing the right thing or not, again you have to go only to the court.
But are you willing to help this team, Professor Gurumurthy? Is there somebody who can take up their cause?
Obviously, no, of course. All of us are in stress for time. But this is a matter in which I can't disown my responsibility.
Is there a larger need to reconsider what is happening across the country and in terms of this entire aspect of freeing Hindu temples? And would you also blame the Hindu community itself, who have not taken the onus of wresting back the control from states?
You see, actually the Hindus were cheated by believing that post-independent government was their government. So the government and temple had always coexisted in this country. All the Maharajas. And so they believed this government will be like this. They never thought this government will turn against the temples, against Hindus, against Hinduism, against Hindu rituals, against Hindu sampradayas. They were cheated. In fact, two top leaders in the country in their last years, I don't want to mention their names, we were cheated into believing that this government will safeguard the Hindus because that is the only unorganized religion, only unorganized people, only unorganized worshippers model. It is a completely free religion. We were cheated into believing that this government will do that, but the government had actually turned against. They are very top people who occupied highest positions in this country. I don't want to mention their names and shame them.
Professor Gurumurthy, thank you for your time. You've been very candid. Let us hope that this voice is taken note of and they have the ability to seek legal recourse and also move for an urgent hearing in the top court, because the top court is the one that is supposed to be monitoring the management and how things are being conducted at the
I agree.
Chidambaram.
That is the only way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much.